I am Guilia Conti. I'm an Olympian, world and European champion, and I'm a professional sailor. So I was born in Rome in 1985, and when I was 11, I moved to Lake Garda, this beautiful paradise. And randomly, I started, a sailing school course in Circolo Vela Toscolano Maderno, and I just fell in love with the sport. Yeah, and I loved it. I was actually the only girl in the team, and my fire was like just to beat the boys that were, in the team with me, and yeah, I just loved it. All the friendship that we created all together, and yeah, and then I discovered I really liked racing. When I was 13 in 1999, I won the European Championship in Optimist in Athens, and then yeah, I thought like sailing could never be not a part of my life. So I started sailing with Olympic classes, first with the Europe class, but I really didn't like to sail alone, because in the meantime I started doing match racing, and it was going pretty well, and I already had a crew, so the Italian Federation asked me to be on a Yngling team, and I loved it, and we qualified for the games, surprisingly, and at 18 I was at my first Olympic Games in Athens. I was at 4 Olympic Games as an athlete in 3 different classes, and 1 Olympic Games as a coach of the US team. And yeah, and after that I switched to 470. I did 2 Olympic Games in 470, Beijing and London, and then 49 FX in Rio 2016. And then I took 8 years of not being really on a boat, but just being on a rib and driving fast boats, but with engines and with a wheel. And that, I say it in a fun way, but led me to taking the wheel of another fast boat that is the AC40 and winning the first ever Puig Women's America's Cup in Barcelona in 2024. I went from, sailing on a rock on the sea, which was the Yngling, to the fastest boats out there, which are the AC40s, the foiling boats. So for sure it was all the time a challenge for me to, because normally the more you get old, the more you get cautious in general. So all the time having to switch that mentality of pushing yourself to new limits, it was definitely hard for me, especially when I switched from 470 to 49ers. I had really a hard time at the beginning to cope with the speed. But eventually, yeah, I overcame it, and I was so proud about it. And then from 49er to then going to the AC40 was another huge step. And of course, there were days where I was scared of the boat, because it's fast, you can get injured, and sometimes I couldn't sleep at night thinking about the next day's big breeze, and what could... The very last race of the America's Cup, it was the match race against the British team, win or lose. We were really focused on racing, on trying to be present with the wind shift, with the wind pressure, with the the flying of the boat, the steering, the targets. So we were really, really in the moment, and we had 6 legs, 3 laps in that race. And on the 5th leg, towards the very end of the last upwind, then we only had the last downwind. I remember in a specific moment, like we were sailing and we just needed to do the last tack to approach the top mark, the top gate. And I went out from the zone and I thought, oh, we're winning the America's Cup. And I felt like this rush of things inside of me, and I immediately felt like I got more rigid while I was steering the boat. And but I was mindful enough to realize that thought and be mindful, like, yes, thinking that, okay, this is the wrong thing to be thinking about right now. And so I immediately went back to, I remember I took like a deep breath, got grounded again, and got fully focused again on what I was doing. And then it was just like, you know, we turned the mark and went downwind, and the sea state picked up, so it became very difficult to steer the boat and to sail it properly. But we were just sending it, and without thinking about anything else, until obviously we crossed the finishing line, and then we just exploded in whatever things that, like, million of colors of joy just came out of that. In the past, when I was, you know, sailing in Olympic classes, I was so much like result-oriented, you know. So I was just thinking about winning, just winning, winning, winning. It was probably my mechanism of coping with the lack of self-confidence that I had maybe from when I was a kid. And so I remember very clearly that when I was winning a race, I was like saying, okay, thank God I won. So, okay, I didn't lose this time. What's next? You know, like not even taking the time to be grateful for that winning moment that, you know, I should be proud of, because I worked my ass off to be there and win. And then I'm just not even, you know, mindful enough to say it to myself and be like proud and grateful for that. So yeah, I spent all my Olympic career like that until when I was coaching. Then obviously everything changed, and I remember the first time the team I was coaching, the American team I was coaching, won their first medal. And I was so happy. Like, and my happiness like lasted for, I don't know, weeks, because like, yeah, it was a totally different feeling, and I was like, why wasn't I able to feel that way when I was an athlete? And now, like, and I'm helping someone, I feel like so happy and, you know, proud of the work that we did together. And then, well, at some point of my life, I started this journey of, you know, being like more grateful, meditating. I read a book from Tom Daly, the diver, the British diver, and he talked about this app called Headspace, and so it stuck in my mind. You know, all this thing of being mindful and grateful, and so at some point I started to do that, and yeah, my life changed completely, and I was able to really see things from a different perspective. And so I remember I was this kind of sailor that was micromanaging all the time, and, you know, having to be on top of everything, and couldn't like delegate anything because I needed to be in charge of everything, you know. And when I got to Luna Rossa for the America's Cup, I immediately felt I could like trust the sailors that were sailing with me. And I remember like just being so grateful for that. And every day before going out on the water during the regatta, we would like meet around like together, hugging and like really feeling that moment. And I was sharing what it meant to me to be a part of that team, and how grateful I was to like have them as my teammates, and how proud I was that we could sail together the America's Cup for the first time and making history with them. To me, it was just the most precious thing. And I remember telling them that regardless how the regatta would end, to me, winning the America's Cup was already in my pocket because of them. And then when we crossed the finishing line in that last race, it's what made me like burst with joy, because it was not just winning, it was just like sharing this thing that I had with such amazing people and being grateful to be part of it. It's very important what you are doing, like being the best at the gym, being, you know, the best in reading the wind signs, being the best in, you know, trimming the sails, like always striving for more as a sailor and as an athlete. But most of all, I would say, hey, appreciate what you're doing, because it's like the best thing that you could ever ask for, and you have the best teammates, and just be grateful for that, and take moments during the day to acknowledge that, and especially say it out loud to those people around you, how much you appreciate them, and how much you're grateful for their presence, and how much you're grateful and proud of what you're doing, because you're kicking asses, you know. Being grateful is like a very important step to like being that kind of leader. But it's not enough to keep it for yourself, I think. I think it's important to share it with the people around you, because they deserve to know what you think about them, what you feel about them, what you feel about the situation. Like, you have to make them feel that you are no one without them, really. It's being a leader is not about, you know, something selfish. It's about being able to get the most out of the people that you work with. Oh, I hit several walls in my in my life. Probably the biggest wall that I hit was prior the Olympic Games in London. I was having a lot of panic attacks, and so during the World Championship in Barcelona in May 2012, during the last race, my body got blocked completely. Like, my muscles were not responding. I was not eating for the last 4 or 5 days, not drinking water. I was just in a very bad state. And when the races ended, I had to step on the rib and just go full speed back to the harbor. And when I was trying to get undressed, I couldn't breathe anymore, and I fainted. And yeah, and so my physio at that time, like I opened up with him because I didn't tell anybody about this, and so I could open up with him because I couldn't even like go out from the house and walk around or like drive a car. I was just in a very bad place, but still having to perform. And so this physio suggested me to work with this person, this sports psychologist that I worked with for the next 4 years. And yeah, the first thing he said to me was, "You have to go to university." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, you'll see, you get your confidence back by, studying and having exams, and you'll see it's going to be good." It was really good, but it took quite a long time. I switched classes too. I started at 49er. I had new motivations, which helped quite a lot. It's so easy when you are in this, like, I don't want to sound, but in this toxic bubble of high performance sport, that it's very easy to forget what are the important things, and there is no time to like really ask deep questions about yourself. Or I don't know if there is no time, but for sure I didn't find it, and I didn't know I had to find it. And you want to win, and you don't win, you get angry, you get frustrated. You win, you just like, "Oh, good, I didn't lose this time," So it's so easy to lose focus of, the important things. When you win, everyone is there, sharing the win with you, and you feel like God all of a sudden. And then you lose, and nobody's there to, put together the pieces and help you heal from that. So, like, this equation, like, makes you think, I win, I'm a badass, I lose, I'm a piece of shit. Evolving from this means, first of all, not associating yourself with the result. So it's very important to like sit down and really get into that. But yeah, it's definitely, you start to see life in a different way, and you're just able to just let things come the way they're supposed to come, and deal with everything that is coming. And you're just able to do it because you know that you are strong in your core at the end. The most successful moments I had in my life, which was winning the 49er World Championship and winning the America's Cup. I knew before the regatta started that I was going to win. There were signs, I felt it inside of me, that was going to be like my moment. And it was all because I felt like I was open to the word, and which means also open to see those messages, because like you really have to be like open for that to be coming towards you. And I feel like I'm a person that is always trying to evolve. I'm a curious person. I feel like I have this thing that is moving me to like always trying to be better. And I think it was a little hiding before, when I was, just focused on being on having to win something. And by being like more mindful and meditating and being grateful for life, then I felt this thing like coming up, like more radically inside of me, and I think that's the thing that we need to aim for in this life, and cultivate it, because it's like evolving is the best thing that a human being can do in life. I feel it, in the moments like that I talked about, when, like, before winning important events. I knew it before because there was something around me that was telling me that, and I just, you just know it. And then also for other stuff in life, like in general, like if something happens to me, like the weirdest things that normal people would just freak out, I'm like, I know that, something's gonna happen to me that, this will be solved in nothing. I know that there's something taking care of me. I don't know if the universe or whatever, but there is something that, like, I feel like if I have faith in that, then it's gonna come to me. And so, like, in those moments of those difficult moments, I just believe that something good is going to happen, and something good is always happening. I would advise everyone to look for that source that I call the universe, to take care of them, and like being very mindful of that, and like nurture it, because it's a very important thing and very powerful. I'll bring with me gratitude and the ability to just give myself to whatever experience is gonna come to me. And I'm, just excited to see what life is gonna bring me, and then I will let it come and deal with it, whatever it's going to be. And I'm sure I will be grateful for everything that will come, because it's gonna teach me something and help me grow as a person.